Hey everybody, my name is Andrew Davis, and you are watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am scandalous like an Ashley. And I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Pocket Jack Comics, and they are coming to local comic stores near you pretty much this month and next month. And right now, you can check out some free preview copies of their sexy comics, Guinevere and the Divinity Factory and Palace of the Golden Princess at pocketjackcomics.com. Sign up for my friend Preston's email, and he'll send you a free PDF so you can try it before you buy it. And then if you like the book, you can go to your comic store and pick it up. And I must say that Preston did bring out some very sexy covers, and I did get to see them ahead of everybody else. And I do not think you will be disappointed. So go do that. Obviously, supporting Preston, supporting the show, very helpful to me. And I don't think that you will be upset by reading his books. Actually, you might be, but that's not the point. But anyhow, if you don't like, women in power, that is. But enough about that, because I have with me J.S. Earls and Drew Spence. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hello.
Yeah, so obviously you two are working on some projects together, and you got some other stuff going on. But before we dive into what you two got going on and all that stuff, I am curious a little bit of background on both of you, because I think my audience knows JS because you've been on a bunch of times, but obviously Drew, this is your first time on this show, and I like to just catch everybody up because obviously I interview about 150 people a year, and so people forget very easily who people are, what they've worked on, and so quick background on the both of you.
Okay, going first. I started out drawing comics as a kid, always drew. I went to college, have a fine arts degree, so I did the whole sculpt, paint, draw, weld. I can do just about everything. From there, I did a radio show for a bunch of years. After that, I was heavily into hip hop. I have a rap group. I released a bunch of music under that. I turned into instrumental stuff. I did some dance music. One day I wake up on the couch and I look at my room. I have all my albums on the walls. I have music everywhere, posters. But I see on my shelf is all the comics that I drew as a kid. And I even have a little groove. I'm not giving anyone the finger, but I have a groove in my finger from when I used to draw so much that there's actually a groove permanently etched in my finger that will get sore if I write anything today for too long. You can feel the groove kick back in. So I realized that if I should exit this earth, no one is ever going to know that I was heavily into comics. They'll never knew that I drew them from my whole childhood doing it, reading them. So I said, I should probably at least put something out so that the world knows that I was heavily into comics as much as I was into everything else. So I revamped my childhood story. I read the book The Watchmen, and it gave me this sense of these were old superheroes in the 40s and 50s, revamped into a modern context. And when I saw that, I said, wow, like when I was, 10, 11, 12, I had a very corny superhero team that did whatever I saw on TV. So I watched a Kung Fu movie. Now my whole team is ninjas fighting and doing Kung Fu stuff. Then if I saw a medieval movie, my superhero team went to a planet and were wearing armor and jousting and everything. I was a little kid. So I said, how can I take that story and modernize it where it's not completely goofy? So I have like a team that's one of everything. There's a cowboy, there's a ninja on there. My ninja guy, one episode he's a ninja, the next episode he was Bruce Lee, the next episode he was doing the super old school Shaw Brothers martial arts, then the next one he's a samurai, and the next one, because I just was influenced by what I was seeing around me, what I was into. I saw the Terminator movie, so now we're fighting all Terminators and fighting robots, and I just said I want to take that spirit, adultify it. I was in college at the time, and I started like redrawing them as being older, as if they had an entire career and had retired and was still having adventures. And then once I decided I was going to do it in a modern style, I started looking at what options I had. And I didn't want to draw again. So I said, what else can I make stuff from? And I used to go rip, I'll admit this now, for a lot of the art, I used to rip, it wasn't deviant art. I used to take a lot of the art from there and repurpose it, chop it up and all that stuff. And I would say, like, what is the source of how they're making this? It's not like drawn, but I didn't know that it was CGI and it was 3D assets. But I just would always, snatch that when I saw it. And then eventually I discovered Daz Studio, which was the backbone of all my models, and then I began doing that. So for a bunch of years, I kind of advanced in the CGI realm. Uh, One of my editor friends, who's Tiffany Gray, knew JS. And she was like, I know this great writer that, oh my goodness, he's brilliant. You should meet this guy and just talk to him. And I was like, okay. So when we talked, he was like, right now it's 2020, whatever it was, 2022, 2023, you got to do a Kickstarter. And I hate Kickstarter. I hate the idea. I was never into it. I know nothing about it.
We're gonna talk about that too. I promise.
I just thought it was something weird. Like, I don't know what this is. And it's like, no, there's a community trying to convince me. Like, there's a community of people who fund books. I'm like, so how does that work? Like, they're gonna give me the money first and then I go make the book? That's absurd. What are they paying for? And he's like, you got to prove that you're gonna make the book. Show them some sketches, show them some art, show them progress and updates, and you can actually have people help you bring your stuff to life. I thought the idea was absurd, so I never really paid attention to it, but he just kept staying on it, saying Kickstarter, Drew, we got to do a Kickstarter.
Because there ain't no money in the regular industry now.
I didn't
so we're going to talk about that because I am curious your opinion on, the business of things and of that, but yeah.
We're here because of JS. JS said, trust me, let's just do a Kickstarter. So I let him run the whole thing, guide me through it. There were days where I was just like, what do I do with my hands right now? Hit this, type this, go here, sign up for this, pay for that, don't pay for this, don't do that, do this. And we ran a very successful campaign. We hit half the funding on the first day. We completed it. I bumped everyone up on my list one level. So everyone got the tier above whatever they sent me. If you sent me only for digital, I sent you a physical book. If you asked only for the physical book, I sent you the physical book and the physical soundtrack. If you paid for the physical book and the soundtrack, I sent you those two, and I sent you the physical standee. If you paid for all three, I sent you other books. So we did so well.
Let's talk about the book. So what's the book that you guys?
God of Fury. I sent you the PDF on Facebook.
Yeah, but it's like a adult sci-fi story. Very intense. It's cool. Is that the one that has the big head on the cover of it?
Yes. Yeah, like you've seen a ton of books. Somewhat inspired, like something like Alien, Prometheus. Most people kind of say that it has a very Prometheus, Alien. We're gonna go explore this ancient relic, and then at the end, everything hits the fan, and we realize we made a terrible mistake messing around. So
let's actually dive into this a little bit because you guys touched upon the Kickstarter thing.
Yeah.
And I'm right now having a very complicated relationship with Kickstarter where I'm economically burned out from just spending a lot of money. It's obviously tax season, so I have to get through that. And obviously I'm paying taxes. I'm, taking care of my retirement. So I'm easing off the brakes. I'm also finding that a lot of people are asking for money, and I'm finding that product isn't great per se.
Like everywhere you go.
So I mean, I don't feel that when I go and I'm looking at Netflix, that product isn't great for what I'm paying for. I feel that the economic position, if you're asking for $25, it's really a $5 book, is 80% of the time right now. When I go to Netflix and I pay my $12.99, Netflix has a bunch of bullshit movies on there, but they also have a bunch of good stuff, and it's collective how I feel. What's up, Pops? How are you? But that's how I feel about Kickstarter, is that it's really hard for me to figure out what's a good project and what's a bad project. And it's tricky now. And
that's why you got to look at the people. Don't look at the project.
And also I'm just fatigued from just media in general too.
Yeah.
Where I kind of want to take a break from comics, where I want to, watch some anime. I want to watch some wrestling. I want to watch something else. I want to listen to some music, because I feel that also the pendulum in my world has swung a little too far. And so I'm curious how you guys feel about that, because I don't think I'm the only one. And I don't think it's because I hate comics. I think it's just that sometimes you are heavy in one sector too much, and then you get burned out from it.
Yeah. I mean, I will answer that, but I will say just in general, look for creative people and things like that. I know a lot of us, like if I'm working on a comic, I don't read comics to relax or entertain myself. I do something else. I watch a movie, I listen to music, you know, I do like whatever the art form is that I'm currently working on. Like I don't choose the same thing to, so I can see for you, especially like you're so much into this or that, or into very specific things. It's like, man, like and I know for a while you were really hot and heavy on anime stuff all the time, and you're like, I don't have time and I don't want to watch any anime because it's like that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about like all the time. And and so yeah, I mean, you could definitely see your part as far as like burning out on that. I'm surprised that more people aren't burnt out on Kickstarter. People that have been doing it for years and run one or two every year. It is, I will say, for anybody that is like feeling that, and I know Andrew's all about the money and the value. I mean, genuinely, I mean, that's, he's always thinking, being really smart about that. But yeah, you got to think. But generally, Kickstarter is really about supporting the people and helping fund the people to get their thing done. And but it has become almost like a transactional thing where you're paying for something and you want it and you start to question, yeah, why am I paying $15 for a PDF, you know, and stuff like that, and it does get crazy. I will say the other thing, which I had just there's a lot of people, and it's not just a I don't think it's just a political thing, but there's a lot of people having trouble with their campaigns getting started on Kickstarter, and they're just leaving them for BackerKit and for other places. Or like I will say one of the best places for people that really want to support comic people, I would say, is GoFundMyComic.com, because it's run by old school comic people, and they're not trying to rate people and with their you know, percentages and things like that. If you really want to support the creators, especially if you're into the comic thing. But yeah, it's the whole Kickstarter thing is kind of crazy to me. And I was just talking with like a really funny. I was just talking to another expert that I know Drew's talked to too, Lauren. And we were talking. We had this long meeting about one of our upcoming projects that I'm doing, and we were talking about this whole thing. Like people, like it's not unfortunately, it has become a business model, but it's not a business model. It's supposed to be there to get your business going, and you have to be working on that aspect, because it's not it's and that's the biggest thing. That's why I was actually talking a little bit before this about with Andrew about the Ripperverse stuff. And there's different things where they have been really hot, like online or whatever, and then I haven't really seen it transition to Comic Cons or transition to comic stores. But that I think in a lot of ways they and I don't think it's just about them, but I think that they're kind of being an exception, and that there's a few exceptions that are kind of coming around. The whole thing, and the whole reason why we have to do Kickstarter, and I would say with all of the arts and entertainment, and this is why AI has come in and is being so big, is that it's the amount of money that we're bringing in from those things is not enough to cover the cost of making those things. So it's an upside down economy for the arts, and you really have to do it for the love of it. I mean, hopefully you can at least break even. I mean, that's almost, for most people, that's about what you can hope for, is to at least do that and not lose your house and everything else.
Let me ask this, because I think the business model is wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I think people say Kickstarter is the be all end all. And I've had conversations with people, and I've started to say, cool, great, you're doing 3 campaigns a year. What are you doing in between?
Yeah.
Are you going to release a limited 100 print run of your book? That's like a super rare variant. Are you going to be releasing foils? I get that you're doing some cons in the summer and the warmer weather. I get it. It's January. Nobody's going to do anything. It's too fucking cold to go outside. You know, in January, I live in Connecticut. It is too cold to go outside in January. I'm sorry that if you're in Florida, you win. But then again, it could be hurricane season too.
Yeah.
So my point is that,
don't say that.
my point is that, like, I say to people, like, great, you have 3 months between campaigns. Are you releasing any merch? Are you releasing any special variants? Are you releasing, you know, something, you know, I'll mention one of my favorite artists, Greg Watson. I don't think he's going to mind. are you going to go out and hire Gregbo and maybe do a 150 print run and sell it on your Shopify store? Like, that's where I think the business model has deviated in a lot of ways. That great, you now created your IP. Maybe you broke even. Maybe it cost you $500 versus costing you $5,000, but you're not changing anything around, and you're not making any money, and you're not doing something about it. Like, I mean, if you have a website, you should be putting ads on your website. You should be doing something that alleviates cost. And maybe it's because I'm becoming, I guess, tighter in my finances that I'm now looking at this and I'm like, no, if it's sustainable, and I don't know if I have confidence that I'm going to get books anymore. And maybe that's the problem too, is that because I've been now in situations where I've not gotten like 8 or 9 books.
Yeah. Lauren, to call her name, she had said that one of the things that was impressive about my campaign is that I had configured it where all the heavy lifting was already done. So there was never a question because the book was fully made. I had to just physically bring it into existence. The soundtrack, I just had to bring it into existence. So I wasn't raising money to make the project. I was raising money to release the project. And she said that there was a lot of Kickstarters that don't make it. And even if they get the money, I've never heard of that before. And I wasn't sure whether that was hyperbolic, but no. You can fund it and still not get the book. I never heard that before. But one of my backers, who I know in real life, had told me that a lot of times he backs things and never gets the actual book when he's done.
Yep.
And I thought that was unheard of, but apparently that happens too. So I don't know. As a creative, I didn't think it was really sustainable. Because what am I going to do? Go 6 months to give you one comic book? Like, how can you endear yourself to my works if you only get 2-3 comics a year? Meanwhile, everyone else is pumping out something monthly, something quarterly. You're getting a lot of content. And in that time, you've only seen one book from me, one character, one story arc, but a year has passed. Like, a year in comic time is a huge amount of time to go. It's not like an author of a book where you can go 3 years because you can read a book and that experience lasts, but you read a comic in an hour or two. You read the whole graphic novel in one sitting. So I think some of that is why I never thought this could be like the end all be all, what are you going to do with your comic or art career? I'm just going to be doing Kickstarters one after the other and do whatever.
Yeah.
I always thought,
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, but it's the same with, and I think we had privately talked a little bit about this, but I mean, I think it's the same with like music and stuff too. And like the music industry and everything, you used to wait to like 3 to 5 years in between albums. Now it's like artists are cranking out almost one a year.
They'll call you irrelevant.
And or they'll call you irrelevant, but also like I think they have to, especially because they're getting screwed by Spotify with the way that the things are and stuff. And it's the same, honestly, it's the same with a lot of novelists and things too. Like if a lot of authors aren't cranking out, I mean, if your name is not George R. R. Martin and you're not cranking out one novel a year, at least, is like you're again like kind of irrelevant. And
retired.
Yeah, it's kind of it's all of the arts in a way. That's why in some ways I'm a little shocked, and I did post a couple things about this, but on the way that like anime and manga has like taken over the world, and it's just destroying sales of like France and Italy and stuff that had like really strong graphic novel markets. I mean, manga's like killing their sales and stuff. I mean, they're like number one there. I mean, there's practically nowhere in the world that like that manga is not number one as far as the book sales, and it is outselling all the novels and stuff too. So, but it's like, again, how long is that going to last? I'm sure less than 5 years, probably.
I have a feeling that this anime manga stuff, it's not leaving anytime soon. I'm willing to put real money on that.
Yeah.
And my thought process on that is that I used to go to Barnes and Noble growing up, all throughout, pretty much from 12 to all the way in high school. Every Saturday, there was a Starbucks in there, and I pick up a manga book. And there's maybe like 5 of us, that I would see the same kids, doing it. Now I go to that same Barnes and Noble maybe once a month, and there's all these high school kids, and there's like 20, 30 of them in the 2 hours that I sit there. So it has legitly multiplied by 6.
Wow.
And then on a Saturday from 10 to about 11:30, 12 o'clock. I can't imagine what the rest of the day looks like.
Right.
And I can tell for a fact that they have to replenish the stock. You know when a bookshelf in Barnes and Noble, books get pulled off and bought. It's not figure that out. And they also have a lot of manga laying out throughout the whole store on different tables because it can't fit on their whole thing. And on the shelves that are slowly eating up the graphic novel section. But I have an idea why, because I think the stories are better. I think they're cheaper. I think it comes out faster. And when you have something that comes out once a week, what is it? 12 weeks later, you have a bounded book in America. Yeah. And 12 weeks is not a long time.
Yeah. And it's $10.
It's $10. That's the other thing too, is that Noble, it's $10 and you get a membership, it becomes $9.
Yeah. The price is a big thing. And unlike most web comics and things you see on with American or other styles of art, you see a lot of webtoons being turned into mangas and turned into animes, and it's this whole ecosystem that has been built up. I mean, somewhat organically, and then somewhat by the companies like really pushing it. That it's worked. I mean, better than, it's not like we don't have these things in America or they don't have those things in like Italy and France and other places. It just works so much better. And I mean, kudos to them for doing a lot of it in black and white, because that's a heck of a lot cheaper, a lot more profit to be able to put back into the stuff. And that's where we just blow so much money on the color, which I mean stinks because we love color. But
I want to ask something about Kickstarter and getting back, because I love manga. I'm a huge One Piece. I'm catching up on One Piece. I just bought the Shonen Jump back, reading manga digitally for $3 a month. It's dirt cheap, and I have access to 80% of Shonen Jump's library, which is way more than you ever need. And One Piece, 111 just came out. That's going to be up, like, I think tomorrow on Shonen Jump. So it's like maybe like a 2 or 3 days behind, which is nothing in reality to read something digitally. And for $3, if you're reading, I don't know where else to get my shit cheaper. I mean, Comixology.
Oh yeah.
Dirty word. Yeah. Dirty word. It's an Amazon company. Terrible people, guys. But Comixology is also very good if you want to read comics. But I am curious, because there are people who are putting out books every single month in different titles, and I also think that's becoming a problem too. I take a very different position, where I am getting to the point where I think consumer protection actually needs to come into Kickstarter, where I think there needs to be protections, because I know plenty of people who are running multiple campaigns all at the same time, back to back. And I understand why they're doing it. They're saying, well, previews in time, or Lunar does it. I should be able to do it too. I get that. And when your book is 5 months late, and I gave you my money for a year, and then you're another 5 months late, or another 6, at what point do I say, wait a second, there has to be a form of protection here for me? And what I found out, apparently, and this is, somebody told me, that you may not be able to sue Kickstarter, but you could theoretically sue a creator.
Yeah.
Reason why is that Table and Comics, I don't think anybody's going to go sue anybody for $10 or $20 or $25. But if you invested $20,000 into an invention and they don't deliver, that's real money. So but I do think that consumer protection has to come into Kickstarter, because I don't think you should be able to run 2 campaigns that haven't been fulfilled back to back. I think 2 should be your max. I think Fund My Indie, I think they have a limit of 2, and actually it's a good thing.
I thought though that if it didn't get funded, they don't charge you for it.
You don't pay anything if it doesn't get funded, so nothing comes out of your position. I have a problem if you don't get, let's say that you ran a campaign and it just bombed. I think you should launch again. I think the issue is that if you funded, then you said a week later, I'm going to do another series. So let's say you named your series 1, right?
Right.
I have 3. A week after you're done with 1, you have 3 ready to go, but you haven't fulfilled 1 yet. And then
Right.
while still 1 and 3 have not been filled, you said, you know what, we're going to do 2. But
Well,
again, it's a different series. Now you have 3 series that have been funded on Kickstarter, but none of them have been fulfilled.
Well, when someone who's a detractor explained this to me, they said it was like a pyramid scheme. Like you use the first campaign.
Yeah.
Well, first
And
campaign.
that happens. It does happen.
You use your first campaign to get your life together. So
Yeah.
the first campaign gets your car out the shop and gets you back on track with your rent or mortgage. So that's your first campaign. So I spent the money from the first campaign. So what I do is I launch the second campaign and use that money to send everyone stuff from the first. And you assume that the first one's going to double, the second one's going to be bigger, the third one's going to be bigger. And eventually your fantasy that you're going to make so much net profit, you'll get square with everyone you owe stuff to. And I think for me, at least, I've heard that some people's scheme on there is that they got to get out the hole they're in.
That's called gambling.
You know,
you don't have startup money, in which that I mean, we were speaking and you heard the interview. I don't know how far you got into my Dustin Burnell interview, but one of the things he said in that interview that I do think is very true and should be taken, you need money to make comics.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you need $1 million, but you probably need $3 to $4 grand in a lot of ways to do this the correct way.
Yeah.
You probably need more to do it a better way. Where and this is probably why there's problems, is that somebody only has $2 grand. And so they could pay for 10 pages, maybe a cover, maybe they, get some help from somebody, or they, hire somebody to help them figure some graphics out. But then they say, cool, I'll raise, and I'm looking for 3. That'll cover the printing and that'll cover the rest of the book.
Yeah, the shipping.
Great. But then this is the problem that you get into, is that things change in the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And this is where I think problems go, where people should have, if they can, have 75, if not all their book covered. Maybe they don't have a cover done yet. I get that. And maybe you're saying, cool, is we're going to figure out what we're going to do middle of the campaign, depending on where we're at, to add cover D in there or not. I can understand that. But I do think when people only have 50% of their book covered or done, or 10 pages and it's a 22-page book, these are the problems you run into. And I mean, I think he put it perfectly, that you need real money, because all of a sudden, if you have $10,000 to pump into your book, you can get all the coverage you need, you can get all the pages you need, and you can actually go hire the help that you're going to need.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you should go out because there's a lot of scams out there, people trying to rip people off on Kickstarter, but there are people who are good at press who can really, really help. Or you could buy ad space on, Facebook, on podcasts, on shows, or you could ask people.
Ad space is really important for people that want to get serious about it.
Yeah.
And you really, I mean, that's what recently when I was talking with Lauren too, and she's sitting there going through like all this stuff, and you want to really be trying to run like 3 ads constantly, and you want to be judging to see how they're doing, so you can pull the ones down that are not effective at what you. And it's like, and like you said, all that costs money. It's just like, and same with trying to get in stores. Like the best thing you can do is buy an ad in previews. So you get at least like a full page thing or something. It's not going to add that. It's probably going to add maybe 500 orders to your order, but it's like every little bit counts. And it's hard to do if you don't have that money. That's why, honestly, I think I think a lot of people are really, the people who are sticking with it and funding people are turning to people like Drew and the Rippaverse and other people that they either have the book done, or it's like really close to being done, and it's gonna go out. We're gonna ship it. They show you them shipping it. People are receiving it. You have to treat it that seriously.
There's a word. It's a great word. When you take my money on Kickstarter, you are a fiduciary.
Yeah.
It is not your money.
Yeah.
It is my money until I get my product. and you are responsible to manage that money for said product's development in the best way you see fit. So if I give you $20, it is your obligation to say, well, I would like to recoup some of my money, but I also got to print it.
Yep.
And so you have to be a fiduciary to say, look, this person gave me $20 and is expecting to get X. So if I go out there and I go and hire an artist to do a commission at a con and I give them $280, they have a responsibility to produce something. And if I come back the next day and the thing's not done, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck? Where's my money back, or where's my sketch?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And if they can't do the sketch, they say, well, I got 15 of them and this person paid me $4,000, I expect my money back.
Yeah.
Well,
so
there's a business advice angle to this, right? I don't want to step on the business part because I'm not a great businessman myself. I'm not overflowing with money, but I do understand that most people who do some kind of adventure like this don't really have like an actual business plan.
Right.
Like your first book that comes out should probably be a partnership between the artist, the writer, the inkist, the colorist. Like the first way in probably shouldn't be, I hired a guy at this rate to make this many pages. I got this guy that I know that does this incredible cover. You probably have to make the first book at least some kind of partnership with everyone to get through that first gate and start to build credibility. And then maybe when you've got a little bit of cash to play with, you can then say, I'm gonna have this guy do this, I'm gonna have that guy do that, and begin to build a team. But I don't think a lot of people think of that. I know someone who did a Kickstarter who's relatively famous that they never thought of shipping costs.
Yeah.
That never factored into their business plan. So they made a ton of money, printed a lot of books, and when they went to the post office, JS helped me with my campaign, and he said, Drew, shipping costs. And I went to the post office and I sent someone a book, Sweden and Germany. A book cost me $70 to send the whole package to Germany. $70. And when and they slid the thing back and it said 70 to ship. And I said, well, can we do the media rate? No, they said, no, this is what it costs to ship. This is the rate. And I said, 70? One book. For what? And then JS said, be careful doing international because you might be shipping to strange places that are very far and the cost could be crazy. Yeah. And I said, but I know I have people that attend my classes. They are from other countries. I'm going to ship. The guy personally hit me up and said, Sweden is not on your list. It's not on your list of shipping places. What's going to happen? My address won't go in. And I said, send it to me personally. I will guarantee you get your book. And I said, that's one person I'm going to take an L for because he sincerely liked the concept, liked the idea. His book, expense to ship, but I sent it and it got there within 5 days, within 1 week of the campaign closing. I had packages all set and he got his book. He's like, I can't believe it's already here.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're trying to build a rapport, another thing, not that I'm going to stick on JS all night, but another thing he said was,
no, please go on.
Yeah, back a campaign so you know what it's like. Like, don't just go out there and say, hey, everyone, support me, fund my book. I have dreams, everyone. I want to be a comics guy. But he said, get into the community, see what it's like, go through the process so you can understand from the inside. So I ordered a book. It's probably still somewhere here close by.
Oh, wow. You actually got it. That's good.
Yeah. And he sent me the book. He had stickers in it. And I did a whole blog post on it. I couldn't believe it. It felt like I was at a con because it came with artwork. It had stickers in it. The book was awesome. And I feel like now for the rest of my life, I feel like I'm attached to that book somehow because I helped make it. So now that book is not like a regular comic that I put in a box with a bag and forget that I bought it that day. That book sits out because it's like the book I supported, the book that I helped usher in. So I feel more connected to that particular book than I would, I think, if I just went to a store and anonymously just slapped down my money and got it. So I think for at least the way I kind of understand it, JS says you're really funding the personality. Like you're not really funding the book anymore. You're funding the person who you believe in their dream. Like you believe you want to see them.
I can see that a little bit, but also I'm in a position where when you're interviewing all these people, you start discovering personality traits and other problems, and then it becomes an issue, and you start realizing that somebody's writing is decent, but they're an asshole.
Yeah.
And this is the problem that I'm in, and it's a unique problem where when you're doing and you've interviewed 500 people in comics, you're like, but I know these personalities both publicly and privately. I
Right.
also know other things that are very problematic. And
Yeah.
then I also realize that people's personalities change. And also, I ran a Kickstarter, and all these people, where the fuck were you guys? Like, and that's my response back is that we
Yeah.
talk about that too, where it's like all the people who I wound up supporting, it both, money wise and interview wise, when I needed it, I'm like, where were you guys? And that also changed my opinion, is that it's kind of like everybody talks about community, but when I needed it, nobody was there. And
Did they
so
not? They didn't even do like the $1 or $5 or anything. They just
didn't
did
give
nothing.
a damn. They didn't give a damn. And
Wow.
it changes the perspective. And a lot of these people, we don't speak anymore. We
Yeah.
don't speak anymore, in which that it is a crystal clear line that
Yeah.
I'm like, where were you? You all talk about community. Where the fuck were you? And I didn't want to run one again for this show, and I found other ways how to fund. But
Yep.
what I do now is that if I don't want to talk to you on my show, like I legitimately got hit up by like 7 people this month, and I took one because I thought the one person was interesting, but the other 6, I'm like, I don't find it interesting. And if I was to want to, I would charge them way more money than they could afford because I don't
Yeah.
want to do the interview. And
I'm
that's just where we're at. And because that instance changed me.
Can I
And
push
it's
back?
unfortunate.
Can I push back?
He's gonna push.
You can push back all you want.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Come on. Don't give them a second chance. Give the person a call and say,
Well,
hey, how come you didn't
He might have given them a few chances.
Yeah, how come you didn't back my
Let me
campaign?
explain. There's been people who've been on my show 5 times. And before all of this,
I'm gonna spin around in my chair.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I have to spin around in my chair for that. 5 times and they didn't back your campaign.
Yeah, they didn't even throw me $1.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, hey man, I got my campaign going on. And like I shot a message and they didn't speak to me. And now they're speaking to me again. And my response is, hey, let me know and let me know what you got going on. And again, I also think that what's happened is that a bunch of people might have also gotten a little big and might have gotten a lot of press. And then they're like, oh, it's a
we don't
small
need
show
you anymore.
Yeah, they don't need your little show anymore.
But it's all these people I stuck my neck out for. And I'm like, I'm going to stick my neck out for a lot of people, but you get one. And then if you don't treat me great or you think you're better than me, it's kind of like we're done. And that's how I view it. And my position is that if I stuck my neck out for you and you've been on my show a bunch of times, and when I ran a campaign, you couldn't even throw me $1, like really? Like,
Yeah.
And so it changes me, but I'm not done, but I'm way more selective now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
unfortunately, that's the problem. And I don't think I'm the only one. I think a lot of people in this space, in the podcast space, I know about 4 shows that take everybody, but I know a lot of shows that are very, very selective. And that's kind of, I think, where we're at is that, but the shows that take everybody, guess what? They get booked up for 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
And that's why all the people are now hitting up shows that don't take everybody because they can't get on the shows that do. And then it creates an issue where I'm just like, I want to reserve spots for a voice actor. I'm having the CEO and president and owner of Comics Lead on tomorrow. I want to reserve a spot for him.
Yeah.
And this is where the conundrum happens. And I just happen to like JS Earls because you've been nice to me. That's the other thing, too, is that
I try.
People who have been good to me also get preference as well, because if you've been good to me, chances are I'm going to want to continue to do business. But I also think that's a major problem right now in Kickstarter is that if we talk about community, but there hasn't been a community granted back to a bunch of people, that kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, you can push back all you want. You can say I'm wrong. That's fine. I mean,
I don't know if it's wrong. I would believe, again, when you said problematic, it kind of changed the tone of the conversation. So if you just say someone's an a-hole, like I can accept that personality type to be driven, my company, and I'm gonna push my way through, and you guys are gonna do this. Like I get the boss thing. So I can accept if someone's like real hardcore, has a hard line and inflexible. I could kind of say, okay, well, that makes this guy some kind of like leader of whatever business thing he's doing. But when you say problematic, or you just say it's not even, like, you know, everyone has that person that every time they call you, it's for a favor. Everyone has that person, or a few of them. That every time you see the phone ring, you're like, what's the jam they're in now? You know, like, what do I got to do to help this person, whatever their problem is? So I get it, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, I just thought you weren't giving people a second chance, and you were like, this person didn't, because there might be a reason.
No. I'll give you an example, right? If I don't get your book, if I backed your book, right, and then you don't deliver and you don't fulfill, and then you ghost everybody, you don't get a second chance.
No,
sir. But if you didn't support me, and you know, but if I interviewed you 3 times and you don't speak to me for 4 years, I don't know if you get a second chance either. But if for whatever reason you didn't see the campaign, but you need something and we're on good terms, I'm not going to say no. But like, it depends. But again, there's a bunch of people who I'm like, you know, I helped you out a lot in a lot of ways. And when nobody was giving you media, I was there with you every single Friday night for like 6 months. And then you can throw me $1. Like, there gets a point where we're not even talking about uneven anymore. We're talking about, I gave you the equivalent of X amount of dollars, and you couldn't even show a morsel of moral support. Like,
you're being used. You're being used, taken advantage of.
And so I just said, I'm stopping it. And this is where I'm at. And I'm also looking at Kickstarter. I'm like, who do I think deserves my money at this point too? And that's where I'm at. But again, my show operates a particular way. But also, if these people came to me and said, hey, you know, I got an interesting product or project, I mean, I now ask questions. I say, cool, what's the project?
How far along is it?
Before, 5 years ago, I wouldn't ask as many questions. And now I'm just saying, if I'm interviewing a top voice actor, I don't want to put somebody next to them that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel. But I'm fine with it being uneven. I'm not okay with it being one-sided.
One-sided,
yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's the way. It's and the crazy thing is the need is that and I would say this is for music and authors and everything too. That it's like the comic people, everything. It's like we genuinely need each other, and we need each other to promote each other's stuff, or at least share it one time. And there are just so many people that just they don't do that because they're so up their own butt and they only think about themselves. And it's just but it's just crazy because we genuinely, to be able to survive and to be able to really pay to fund these things, and it would be so much more healthy if we actually were doing that.
I'll ask a question.
Yeah.
What should be said after every interview from you guys as a guest to the interviewer? What 2 words should be said somewhere?
Thank you. It should be the first. It should be the
check
first
mail.
First, thank you. Second, end of the show. Thank you. Thank you and thank you.
So I would say 70% of the time that happens. 30% of the time that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's more disturbing than any monetary, any freebies, anything of that nature. That's more disturbing because that's not costing somebody any money.
Yeah.
The 30%. So if I do 100 interviews, 30 of those people won't say thank you.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the problem is rooted. If we're going to be really honest, is how do you not say thank you? Or what I said to my guests, like what I said to Sean, I said, hey, man, I'm excited for it and I appreciate you doing this, right? Before the interview even started, right? Because he doesn't have to do it. He's a busy man. But I said, yo, I'm excited for this and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on my show. And so it goes a long way. And that's what bothers me. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't understand where, I guess, matters have gone and where other components have gone. And I'm just like, I guess this is where we're at. But, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I think I think it's probably some of this is probably related to ego. I think people see themselves on tiers. Like if this guest considers themselves to be big enough, maybe they think they're doing you a favor by being on your show, and somehow they're going to drive traffic to your show. So maybe there's this feeling like we're even because I'm a big deal, and then so I'm doing a favor, making this appearance or whatever. There's probably something in there. I just, I didn't think of it to the last couple of years. People have said people in comics are not good people. Like there's a lot of people.
No,
I never.
they're not good people. It's shocking.
Look.
It's so
I will
shocking.
tell you. I am the most uninformed person. When I was a little kid, I drew comics in the size of the actual comic, the 7 by whatever.
That's where a lot of people start.
Yeah, I did not know they were drawn big and shrunk down. So I would sit there trying to do this with my pencil, and I'm trying to get the little fine lines because I thought the book was made in that size. So it wasn't until many years later that there was a giant drawing board and they draw these giant pictures and shrink it down. So I didn't know that. I used to think in my head as a little kid that if I went to Marvel headquarters, everybody would be in the room drawing on giant things all at their desk. And I had this fantasy that I'd be working at Marvel and John Byrne would be next to me. And I'd be like, look what I did with this. What do you think it is, John? And we'd all have this kumbaya friendship going on. And it wasn't until I learned years later, they don't all stay together like in a row, like a classroom. And they all don't draw in the same room at the same time from 9 to 5 and then go home. I really thought at 9 o'clock, they were all there at their tables drawing like kids in high school. So, only recently have I been watching all these videos and been like, oh, this guy ripped this person off. This person didn't pay this person. This person backstabbed this person. I don't do Twitter, but I hear like, oh, this person got into a Twitter war. And this person said, don't hire that person. And this person said, fire that person. This person got thrown off the book. And I did not know that was what the underbelly of it was. I'm just thinking, and it's like, how do you write about superheroes and then do evil stuff?
Yeah.
Like, how do you spend your whole time chronicling hero, people doing sacrificing, helping each other, being about the community, saving? How is that your whole theme? But then behind the scenes, I'm ripping a guy off. Behind the scenes.
So this is this. Let me ask this then, because I can't take comic drama anymore. I can't take it anymore. I got enough shit. I got real drama in my life. I got real problems. I got adult problems. Okay. And I'm going to say something, and it's going to be slightly offensive. Maybe some of these people should go find a significant other and have a kid with them. And maybe if they were spending time with a crying baby, they would have less time on Twitter, and maybe we'd be in a healthier place. And I say it somewhat funny and somewhat facetiously, but all jokes aside, I don't really get it. I can't take it. All I want to do in my life is I want to buy comics, sell comics, make my money, invest my money, and have the ability to relax and maybe retire 5 years early and have more time with my significant other and when I have kids and enjoy my life and significantly not worry about money. And this is what I don't understand is that how the fuck did we get here? Because I don't remember this 3-4 years ago. I don't.
Because, well, I would, it was definitely heading this way. I mean, because we worship artists. I mean, I think we do it with Hollywood. We do it with, I mean, everybody wants to be a celebrity. Everybody thinks they're a celebrity. Everybody gets on a screen and everything. We're worshiping ourselves. We're acting like we're always putting on a show. It's, I don't, but I will say what you're saying is true, that a lot of the creators I know who have had kids, who have gotten married and had kids and stuff, and I can say this from having kids and everything too, it reminds you of like the simple joys of life and things that are like really important. And you have to learn to deal with others on a constantly on a daily basis, and
Almost
so like those people are better at dealing with their fans and things like that.
Agree to disagree sometimes, right? When you're married,
Yeah.
agree to disagree.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna yeah, and you just there's actually, and it was funny, I had just heard somebody talking about this, and no, I'm not going to start preaching, but they were talking about the book of Job, and there's one of the comments where he's getting really bad advice from a friend, and he says, I can't remember exactly what it was, but like Job says, it's too bad you do not have like the wisdom of silence. and and that's, I mean, oh my gosh, how many people in our society don't have the wisdom of silence and knowing when to shut up, or when you're just talking and you have no idea what you're talking about, but you're giving advice, and it's just, it's a very bad that's one reason. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was trying to remember what I was gonna say. One of the things, because I will hear these people complain, and I will call it a wine festival. And every time, it's so funny, I've said it like 3 times in front of Mike Barron, and he forgets every time what I mean by it. He's like, I don't drink wine, and I'm like, Mike, I'm not. I'm talking about whining. and but there'll be people, and they just go nuts over stuff, and I get it. Like, I love the passion that some people have and everything, but at the same time too, I'm like, there's people like dying and starving, and it's like, this is your opinion on this is not the end all be all. It's one thing to talk about it, but to like you're saying, to obsess over it, and like that's your life every day, and that's all you want to talk about is Comicsgate or something, and you just want to get into it all the time.
For me, what it is that I'm okay if people want to have a massive debate on Star Wars. I just had a massive debate on Bitcoin with somebody, and we're both for Bitcoin, but we have a different opinion on how it's going to play out in the next 6 months. And we're going back and forth, but it's extremely civil. And most people understand that it's between me and a good friend of mine. He has a different opinion than I do, and we're trying to prove a point. And it's looking like my theory is right and his is wrong. But, everybody gets.
That's why I use that as the example.
Exactly.
That's why that's the example.
That's exactly what I did, because I just want to remind him. I'm going to send this little piece to him right on his feedback.
He's going to be in the chat right now, putting all kinds of craziness.
That's the plan. No, but again, I guess the way, I don't have a problem if somebody wants to have a debate who wins in a fight, Superman or Captain America. I don't have a problem. People want to go years on that. I have a problem when the hashtag comics broke me or Facebook broke me comes out. That's where I start having a problem with this, because I'm like, wait a second. These are business issues that occur in these things, and the people who are whining and complaining, you're not leveling up. You're not figuring out how to learn. Okay, when I first started interviewing 10 years ago, I sucked. What did I do? I figured out better social media. I figured out how to get viewership. I figured out how to edit videos. I figured out how to level up, and I'm okay now. I'm not great, but I'm a lot better. If you go back and you look at my first interviews, they are horrific. But I stuck with it, and I figured out. But it was never that podcasting broke me. Like I don't get it, and that's where I have a problem. Is that because I go on Twitter and that's all I see. I go on Facebook, that's all I see, and I'm like, great, what's your book? I have $30. I want to buy your product, but I hear comics broke me. Great, is that your book? Like, not, I mean, somebody should write that book. I mean, whoever wants to take it, it's all yours. But that's what I don't get. And I guess maybe this is why I'm also somewhat burned out, is because there's been so much infighting and so much destruction, in my opinion. I've been on the receiving end of it for no good reason. And maybe that's also me, is that, and I don't think anybody is necessarily escapes this, because at some point, I think it's going to come for everybody. Somebody's
they're gonna make you pick a side.
I didn't even pick a side. I just got attacked.
Well, then someone picked your side for you. That's what they did. They picked your side. You did something. You had the guest on. You showed that you were either, because all right. So the thing is that for a long time the big word was tolerance.
Yeah.
Right. Tolerate your neighbor. Like, I hate this person, but tolerate means you leave them alone. They do their thing. You're not forced to say hello to them. You're not forced to, if their garbage can rolls in the street from the wind, you're not obliged to push it back in their yard and do them any solids. So tolerance was the big thing we were all shooting for. Then it switched to acceptance, where it's like, nah, you better go along with whatever they're doing, because you better accept it. You know, and now even acceptance isn't enough. You better be proactive and help them do whatever it is that they're doing. And if you're not helping them do whatever it is they're doing, you're now an enemy. So I think that thing we talked about earlier, being so polarized, is that you don't have a choice. If you're not going to fight for this team, you'll automatically put on the other team. Or if you don't attack the other team as soon as they show up, then it doesn't show enough loyalty. And I think all of that stuff is everyone sitting there. If this ever goes live and you ever share this, there's someone on this planet, I'm hoping not, if there's someone on this planet watching me talk right now, trying to decide what team I play for, and they're sitting back going, do I like him or not? What is his belief on this? What is his judgment on that? Is he on my team? Does he believe the same exact things I do? Because if not, he's my enemy. And now I hate that guy and I hope his book fails. But if I certainly check enough boxes for you, oh, that guy's cool. He's one of us. He's cool. And I think long as we stay in this polarized state, we're not going to make any progress. We're not. We're not.
Well, I just wanted to add, kind of connecting to what Andrew said, and ignoring Drew. I'm just joking. I love Drew.
Go ahead.
I mean, that's why I say the thing about, that when you're on these things, because I'm mostly saying it to the creators, not necessarily the people that are supporting them, but it's like they're supporting you. So don't act like a butthole, basically, or shut up. Don't say what you were thinking, because they are supporting you, and like you're saying, that gets tiring, to just hear people whining about stuff. Like, you feel like you're on social media, so you're just like, I want to be honest. I feel this way about this, and there. But it's like, man, if you're a Debbie Downer and you're just constantly, negative, it's like, I feel bad for you, but like, yeah, I'm not going to give you money, so you can.
Yeah.
I mean, look, as if you don't know what my show is, you don't know how I operate, you don't know what we talk about, and you don't know what you're getting into. I'm going to tell people what I think on my show, but I also don't preach politics. I don't preach religion, because I understand that's the shit that upsets people, and I don't do certain things. But again, I can't please everybody, and I've already made a position in my life that I'm going to interview whoever I want to interview, how I want to interview them, and I'm sorry if I offend you. But the majority of my audience does not get offended. And my audience, from my understanding, is mixed on stuff. Yeah. And I like to think I'm down the middle, and I like to think that I'm not on a team. I don't want to be on anybody's team. I don't. I'm on my team, and that's about it. And I'm sorry and if that means that another team doesn't want me, my response is I'm still going to hit that home run. And I might win the game, and it's going to look really bad when I win the game with a single home run. And I'm just saying that you might have a really good shortstop, but your shortstop is only good in the infield. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sorry. I'm really excited. Baseball just kind of started.
You just had to work it in there.
I mean, the Topps Now opening day cards just dropped today, so I'm super excited for it.
Which means that's all you care about is the cards.
It is. I'm a card collector. I have like a nice big binder. It's fun.
Do you sell those? Do you sell those too, or do you mainly sell comics and things?
It depends. I sell my duplicates that help pay for the hobby, and it's continuing to the hobby. So I prefer baseball cards as a hobby. And I really like to hunt down cards. But if I get like a duplicate of something, or sometimes I will get like 4 packs of the same card, because you get a parallel, and you're hoping you get the parallel. So each pack has a parallel in it. but you're trying to get like a 1 out of 10. So I would sell like this 1 out of 49 that helps to reduce costs.
Yeah. You know, it's
but yeah, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna. You two would both probably like this for wrestling. I don't know what all they do with the wrestling cards, but I know with football and some of the other ones. Now, I will say this is. I do think this is cool where they put pieces of the jersey or pieces of the balls and stuff in the cards or in with the cards and stuff. That would be. I would be. I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't doing that with some wrestling cards and stuff. And some. It would be crazy with like comic stuff. It's like, this famous page, I just tore this corner off and stuck it.
That would be amazing if somebody did that and they did comic cards and they built like a relic. That would be sick because they would cut up a page, right? So you cut it up and then you cut it up and then you don't know what part of the page you're gonna get.
Right.
It'd be really cool, but like you get like part of a panel. That'd be fantastic.
Puzzle pieces.
Yeah. So he's writing it down. Next Kickstarter, puzzle pieces.
Does anyone remember? Am I the only person who used to take the cards when kids would battle for cards? I don't remember the rules exactly, but you have to like throw it and would have to lean against the wall.
Yeah.
You never did that? No.
Yeah, he's too young. He's only in his 30s. He doesn't remember.
Wow.
You know. But he probably didn't even put them in his spokes of his bike or anything bicycle. And stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't his thing.
Yeah. He went straight to that motorized scooter. You were straight on the motorized scooter, never even had a pedal bike.
Well, haven't you had a you've had a wheelchair. You've had a wheelchair, right? You can put the cards.
I never had a wheelchair. Like
you never did? Oh man.
That's terrible. That's so terrible.
Well, in the future, hopefully you will get
I mean, I hope not. I set a major surgery to avoid this, like whole thing, and it was successful. That's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Like,
just brought everything.
Why not? I mean, but you could do stuff like that too, man. You get that rich, you don't even need a wheelchair. You just get one,
and then have like a cup and just go outside the mall with the cup and just keep rolling around with the cup.
I tell you. They're great. Well, they used to be great for theme parks. They're not so good anymore. They don't really put you to the front of the line anymore, and at least not in Florida. So
that's because everybody has one.
Yeah, that's because the whole line is just wheelchairs.
In fact, when you're on the line, the question is, so what's this line for? Is it for the ride? No, this is the ride.
Great.
Yeah, and it can be just like the grocery stores where all the carts are like lined up and you can just push everybody in the wheelchairs all over the place.
Oh,
I would say, see who else can we
definitely not going to be getting any guests for the year after this conversation. Definitely, it's going to be a miracle if I pull anything off for the rest of the year. I thought we were doing a great interview until that.
No, I want to ask you a question though. Switching gears quick. What are your thoughts on AI and the emergence of how it impacts both music and art? The arrival of it.
I don't know about music. Because I don't know about music. I'm not. Look, I have a different opinion about AI than most people. So obviously, I work in a profession that AI is changing the game in accessibility. So I like emerging technologies. I like technologies that definitely help people and definitely solve problems. And so my whole issue is, I don't know, are you just stretching or
no? I'm asking a question in class,
sir.
Would you support an AI Kickstarter book?
Probably not.
So
I'm not a fan of Hearthstone. I'm not happy with the way they run their business. They're the ones who did the AI book, right? If you guys know, I'm not really a fan of it. I don't. Also, there are other things too. I think they stole a model's image. I can't prove it, and I don't want to ultimately say I think they did, because I think they took Chloe James's photo and I saw it elsewhere, and I think they imposed it on their book. Now, they might have legally done it. If they did, I'm sorry. didn't mean to make a statement, but I don't think that was the case.
Did they train the AI on her image?
No. I think they just took a photo of her and then they like had an artist do a background on it and took her photo without compensating her, which is a problem of its own right. So I have an issue with them on a lot of levels. The AI thing doesn't help. It was my argument about that. Does that make sense? But again, I have a very hard time as an individual, and I'm going to get a lot of controversy for this, is I don't know how we parse out this. I don't know, because it is a real issue for me. And again, somebody might have a solution and you guys might be able to open up my eyes, but right as I sit, I have an issue because I look at the whole benefits of AI and then I say, great, there's negatives, but I don't know how we separate the two because I think it's a collective and I'm sure there's a solution somewhere. I just don't know what that solution is. I'm not a fan of it, but I don't know how to parse it out. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
No, it's a controversial position, but it's an honest one, meaning that I wouldn't support an AI book because I think it's kind of ethically wrong, but I don't know the solution on how to protect people. But I don't want to just simply throw out the whole concept of AI because where I'm at right now in my development in this technology is that I kind of view it as a whole sector. And I also say, cool, this is coming regardless. And it's either we have to figure out how to learn to live with it, or it's going to kill us all or put a bunch of people out of work. And I think this is where the conversation in this whole discussion goes, is that you say, I'm anti-AI, if you support AI, you're a bad person. It's like, no, we got to have a real open discussion about it.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have I don't know if people fully understand how it even works.
Yeah, most people don't.
I mean, just so everybody's well aware, I just spent the last 20 hours. Last week, I spent 20 hours watching legitly 10 different lectures on AI, and I'm confused as fuck on the topic. I'm confused. So, and I watched some accessibility stuff. I watched some basic stuff, machine learning. I mean, basic AI versus real sophisticated AI. This is complicated. And that's not even the art side of it. So again, I don't know if we're having an open, honest discussion on the topic, and not to get real serious. And hopefully I didn't answer your question, but I wouldn't support my book.
I think most of us have, I call this inventing your own enemy, where when you take a very hard position, you imagine someone on the other side. So if you hate AI, you go, there's an AI bro, and it's this guy who never liked art. He hates artists. He hates everything. He never learned how to draw, and he's using AI, and he's only in it for the money, and he's evil. Plus, did I tell you that he also, ran over an old lady last week in his car, and he also tortures puppies in his basement. Right? He tortures little baby dogs in his basement. That's the guy using AI.
We don't need to talk about Michael Vick now. Come on.
There you go. So if you do that, and picture this sort of evil person that's doing the thing that you don't like, it's easy to make these great arguments and call it art theft. It's, robbing people of their livelihood. It's doing all these things when the majority of artists aren't making some crazy money off of it. And if you discuss just the objective mechanics of it, for me to put your name in an AI engine and have it be able to spit out stuff, you got to be pretty much famous already. People are, and it could make you more famous if the community understands that your prompt is going to give them great artwork. So it exponentially is going to make your name explode. But at the same time, my stuff has been scrubbed. I'm nowhere. I'm underground. I'm whatever. But you can go and see if your art has been scraped. So I have a friend who puts in my comic name in it, and it makes a really bad looking warped 3D sort of effect. Which when I look at the outline, it's like, it's the cover of one of my books. I know what they're doing. So my stuff's in there too.
I'm going to let you finish, but I have a question about that. So my question is that, so I think there's two things, right? So if it's done on AI, obviously that's an AI issue, but there's comic sniping, comic scrubbing, comic stealing. I mean, that's been way before AI.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of people who have stolen covers from people, and it's a problem. I mean, I could pull up a CB Zane cover and I could pull up another person's cover, and they are the exact same pose, and they are almost 95% the same cover. But they were both drawn. So I don't know if that's an argument about scrubbing against AI. I think the AI argument is saying you had a computer take my prompts and generate a non-existing image that wasn't in the system but was extremely similar and was different by 7%. That I can see an argument. But if you say, hey, I want a girl being pinned down on the bed on my cover, I mean, there's only so many ways you could do that. But then if you use the same sheet, the same way the pillows are, the same way the vanity is, the same window, the same fact that it's day outside, you use different colors, and that's the only differentiating thing. And you use that the girl is on top pinning down the guy, and the guy's in a suit, and then you did a cover where a guy's in a suit and the girl's in a wedding dress. I mean, we have way too many similarities that this is cover sniping, which is its own problem. But I don't think that's an AI problem. I think that's just cover sniping. It's just that we're using AI to cover snipe.
Well, when I did art from the very beginning, for people who don't fully understand some of the aspects of creating art itself from scratch, as an artist, there is, if I'm going to make up my enemy and say anyone who uses AI is this evil thing, then I say everyone who's an artist is this virtuous person who spent 30 years developing their craft. They spent 4 years learning color theory. They spent 7 years learning human anatomy. They learned 20 years on posing and dramatic and dynamic, whatever. That's who I imagine every artist to be. But as an artist, you had a phase where the first one, I can't remember even what the order they went in, but there's one where you look at a model, reference, where you look at a model sitting in the studio and we draw her. So I'm looking at a reference. We also did it from a photograph where I look at a picture of something and then I draw it, trying to replicate it. Then the level below that is the tracing stuff, where I might draw the person, but the background might either be a 3D model or it's just me tracing over the skyscraper picture I got from some catalog. And it's like, if we keep doing this and going down this path, you do get to a point where I'm tracing my comic page from someone else's comic page.
Right.
Like you drew the Hulk busting through a wall. So I take that picture and trace over your comic drawing of the Hulk, but change the hair or change a little bit of the features or add veins because you didn't have veins on your Hulk. So my Hulk has veins. So there's so many levels that the art isn't this fantasy pure thing where everyone thinks the person is just closing their eyes and imagining an entire work when there's all these levels in between.
Let me ask a question. So, and I wish I had the book. It's up in my room. I'm in my basement. But one of my favorite covers is by Elias Chazus, and it's Firefighter Sexy Samantha. So it's a Zenescope book. She's dressed as a firefighter. The suspenders are covering her breasts, and she's in a cute thong, and she's a firefighter, and she's in front of the Flatiron building in New York City, and there's some like fire vehicles around. So I asked for him. He did the cover, and I asked him to do a commission. And instead of doing Robin in the background, I asked him to do Van Helsing in the same pose. So he essentially cover sniped his own thing on a blank cover, but he's the artist who developed it. Like, so I mean, it gets tricky when you start going down that stuff too, because like, what is commission sniping at that point, even if it's a one-off? And so
look at all the homages that covers and to people.
What's the number one of that? Isn't there like
Akira?
What did you say?
Well, Akira is probably
the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Which is this one?
Akira,
the anime.
Really? Number one.
Where he's walking towards a motorcycle.
No, I don't know if that's number one, but Akira is like a famous picture of the character walking towards the motorcycle.
I know the movie.
Yeah, everybody does that. I like the idea.
Spence was on my show. He plays
but that one. The one Spider-Man cover has been remade a million times, and
601, and La Chateauneuf,
any of those iconic things have been done like
607 on a lot. Spawn 1 or the Spawn? No, not the Spawn 1. The one with the Spider-Man and the circle with all the numbers.
Yeah, that's the one I was. That's one I was talking about. Yep.
that one's been done, and then The Walking Dead's been done, where the you got the glass broken for number one.
Yeah.
But that's been done on a lot of books too, and there's some other ones that are interesting. But I digress. But I don't know. I mean, to answer your question about AI, I am not a fan of AI art, but I'm also very conflicted on this, and I also think that we don't have conversations about it. And when you don't have conversations about it, and you articulated it really well, is that if I go and say, "Hey, I don't know how we deal with this. Let's have a conversation about it," I get labeled the enemy. Meanwhile, I'm making real money selling comic book art and comic covers that are not AI generated. So I actually put my money where my mouth is, and I'm not going to go buy an AI book. That's knowingly.
Right.
Or if I do buy it and there's real money to be made, I'm going to at least ethically say, "Hey, this book was made by AI." And that's a different decision. I'm not going to go pass off an AI product for it not being AI. I don't necessarily think that it's tricky. And again, I don't know how this all legally pans out. And I don't really want to speculate because that's a 20 to 30 year fight. That's going to be.
Yeah, I technically do have a solution. It's just not one that anyone's going to be happy with. So for me, the reason I didn't spend so much time stuck in an art loop, because I already did this with music. Like I already went to the farthest end you can with music, where I'm constructing the snare sound. I'm constructing this, and I'm deconstructing what MIDI is, and I'm moving notes, and I'm wave editing, and I'm generating my sounds from scratch, and I've got a modular synth making every sound, and I'm playing every instrument, and I'm trying to, get to that pure essence. I'm not going to do that again for art, because I already did it for music, and it kind of ends up in a place where it just becomes a question of, show me what you got. Do I like it or do I not?
Right.
And sometimes the how is only important to the creatives, who spend all day creating, so their mind stays on that. For the AI stuff, it should really be like how music is. I'm not happy with the system because I see my music gets thousands upon thousands of spins every month, and I make 0.0001 cent, and it really adds up to no money. So people are listening to my stuff, but is it causing real traction? No, because it's background. It's just background noise while a guy is doing something else. So no one cares, So in the same sense, if you wanted to make it the same Spotify system, every time I use a prompt or generate something off of the data that you give me, the artist will be getting 0.000001 cent. And if you're a popular figure where everyone is using your name to prompt art, or everyone is using the likeness of your work, then you should be getting some kind of kickback from the engine itself that's giving you access to that style. Like Spotify is the middleman. Whoever these companies are, Midjourney, whoever, they're the middlemen between the artist style and you being able to basically stream art by just generating pictures and streaming art now. Which is also why a lot of AI art has no value, because everything is just streaming. When I was a kid, a picture of a starship in space flying towards a planet, that was a moment to stare at it and just be like, and the ship design is something that I would want to have as a toy or something. Yeah. And I stare at these novel covers. I used to just look at all the sci-fi covers and just stare at the cover of a ship flying towards this alien planet. Now, if I want to see a starship flying towards space, I could just go into Google, put starship flying in space art, and you're flooded with so many pictures, it can't have the same value. You only got 12 pictures of a spaceship or a sci-fi from buying an art book. Like, what was that? The Proxima War.
I don't disagree because I buy and sell limited print runs.
Yeah.
And again, the reason why a book, and I sell a lot of Mount Olympus stuff, and if there's only 15 copies of that book, there's value baked into the fact that there's only 15 copies of that book. And it makes money. And so I can ask, I can't charge $60 for a book that has 10,000 copies. But if a book only has 20 copies, I could charge $60, $80, $100. Or if a book only has 5 copies, I can charge X amount. I have a book that's a 101.
Yeah.
I don't know what that book goes for because it's impossible to know. It's not because I have an idea what I would like for it. I think, at least 120 would be a starting point, but it could be a $200, $300 book.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's very tricky, and I don't disagree. And which I think that the reason why we're here is because you said it really articulated that when you stream things and things are readily abundant, things lose value.
Yeah, absolutely. Movies don't matter. I go on to Netflix and I watch the beginning of stuff and quit.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, if I started watching something, I watched the whole thing. Now I bail on 10 minutes. The movie starts and I see the tone of it is goofy. Like I was with the wife watching Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
It was great, right? It was great.
I
It was
shouldn't
the
have
best
said
movie
that.
ever.
I should have named the real property. That was a mistake. JS, we'll talk about this later. But like the first 5 minutes, it had a lot of jokey elements in it.
Yeah.
It was like, and she's like laughing or enjoying it a bit. And I'm like, I can't bail on it, but I want to see something serious. Like I want to see serious, but then it's lighthearted and it's comical and there's funny stuff. And it's like,
I don't know though. Like, okay, I watched Red Notice, and Red Notice was like that, but I knew what I was getting into.
Right.
yeah.
So if I knew Aquaman 2, because I didn't see Aquaman 2, if I knew it was lighthearted and I knew what I was getting into, I would have been like, okay, cool. I know exactly what I'm getting into, and I'm not gonna bail. So like Fast X was like that. I knew exactly what I was getting into.
Oh, it's gonna be goofy by the end and ridiculous.
It's gonna be so stupid and so off
over the top,
and so just we have bent reality into like a vortex and then back again.
Yeah.
But I knew what it was gonna look like, and I'm like, we're looking at some really, really cool cars throughout this movie, and it was relatively colorful. And guess what? I watched it while I was doing social media. So that was the other thing too, is that I wasn't like date night girl. Yeah.
Oh no. See, because now movies are background for you too now.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Movies are now background. See,
not every movie. Not every movie.
Well, that one, I at the end of it, and I'm not sure, I've never watched a review of it yet, but I can't decide if it's the best movie ever or the worst movie ever.
I don't, because you're the first person I know who's actually watched the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's like when I look at it and I go, that was a good scene. That was a great moment.
Right.
That actually was funny. I did laugh at that part. That looks cool. Oh my God, what a special effect. Oh, that's a crazy sequence. This is, good. They didn't do what I thought they were going to do right there. That was surprising. And at the end of it, I was kind of like, I liked it. Like, I usually don't like comedy stuff.
So let me ask this to both of you. So I don't know. I hate to put Tom Hutchinson on blast a little bit, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I like Tom a lot. But every time I speak to Tom, he's like, that movie was horrible. Fast X was horrible. And I was like, I was entertained and it kept me occupied. It made me doing my social media for the week go by quickly. And it accomplished its mission where it turned a miserable task into a less miserable task. And so when I watch a movie, even if it's a shitty movie, I watched 6 Underground, right? Really bad movie with Ryan Reynolds. Not a good one.
It was entertaining though.
It was entertaining. Let me put it this way. If you had to pick between Red Notice and 6 Underground, you would have picked Red Notice.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think 6 Underground was for me was more entertaining, but
I'm sorry. I like the fact that they had 2 bishops. I thought that was very clever. Notice. I thought that was very clever. I was like, I didn't even think about it until they did that. I'm like,
yeah,
that was brilliant. But anyway, sorry for ruining a good part of that movie for everybody.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So maybe I'll check it out then.
My point though is that I guess when I view a movie, the point is to take me out of whatever I'm in, good, bad, or indifferent, and just take me out of my world.
Yeah.
Because I have tough weeks, and I there are days. So I don't have to go into my job this Thursday, but I have a 53-mile commute one way and a 53-mile other. It's a 13-hour day. I come home on that Thursday, I am shot, and I don't want to do anything that's going to make me think.
Yeah.
I want to watch a movie like 6 Underground or Red Notice or, Aquaman, where I'm like, great, I don't have to do something serious. I'm not going to go watch Maestro with Bradley Cooper when I'm dead tired.
I like
You
that
know?
too. I did like that movie too.
It was great. It was good. I thought it was fantastic. But the point that I'm getting at is that I'll watch that when I'm awake and I'm functioning.
Focused.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like Fast X was watched when I was doing social media and it accomplished its mission. And that's why I say it was a successful movie.
Yeah.
And I think this is part of the problem with comics right now, too. And to bring this full circle back to comics, what is the point of your book? Is your book to write the next great thing that's going to change the face of literature? Or is the point of the book to make money? Or is it that you have a story you want to tell? Or is it to entertain your audience? And do you need to win a Ringo or an award for it? Or do you need to say, hey, cool, I need to generate $7,000 to break even, cover my taxes, print the book, and get into the hands of readers?
Yeah.
And hopefully they're going to like it. Because I think the point of what you're supposed to do for me as a customer is you're supposed to take me out of my world. And if you don't do that for the majority of your customers, that means you didn't write a good book.
Yeah, you got to check all those boxes.
If you wrote a shitty book, but it took me out of my world for 25 minutes and it wasn't well written, but it took me out of my world, it's a successful book. It's just not a great book, because I think we conflate success with good product.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big problem right now in comics. And I think that conversation doesn't happen. Just because something makes $1 million does not mean it's good.
Right.
I will say that the big secret, this is the meta part, is repeat. Is the answer to everything in the universe, is repeat. So what that means is if you go on a date with someone and at the end of the date, the person says, I'm not going out with you again and I'm going to get a restraining order. By no account can you turn around and be like, it was a great date. I had fun. It was awesome. No, if the person doesn't want to see you again or go out again, you failed. And to me, that's the answer for everything. I'm not saying every movie needs a sequel. So some people say, well, they made 7 of these. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you did a good job, you get another bite at the apple. So that person gets a shot to make another good movie. That person gets another turn to come back out with something. So if you're making continuous books and they don't get past issue 6 and your series keeps folding, there's no really way to argue that you're a successful creator is if every time you do something, you get one chance to do it, and then you got to start over with something else, or they boot you off of it, or whatever collapses. So
now, I need to challenge you, because
Yes.
under that premise, how do we feel about Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds? Yeah.
well, I will say this.
They got married, so it's a success.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a comic book.
I could have resisted. I'm sorry.
I'm not a Green. Well, I'll tell you, I'm not a Green Lantern fan of the comic. I never read the comic book, so I'm not familiar with the character. When I saw the movie, I liked it, and I actually bought the video game for Green Lantern that stunk.
Oh my god! It was a really, really rough movie. It was rough, and
well, it's extremely, but it's a Ryan Reynolds. It was very much a Ryan Reynolds movie, though. So if you're up for that, then it lands fine. But
I admit I'm not a fan of the Flash either. I don't think I ever read a Flash comic book.
I was purposely stating it because it was a joke. Because you said because your point wasn't accurate, but he got another bite at the apple. So there's exceptions.
Well, no. They didn't make another Flash. They didn't make another Green Lantern movie.
Yeah.
Just not with Ryan.
So that if that movie did well enough, they would have made a second one.
Yeah.
But the movie didn't do well enough, so that's how again Star Wars Solo. They didn't make another one. That guy had signed up for a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And they didn't make another. So you can't turn around and pretend it was this huge roaring success by any metric if they didn't go back and make another. So to me, that chance to make another one kind of proves that you did something right, because we make another one. We come back for, if it's not always a part 2. Sometimes, we've got movies that are in part 5, 6, and 7, and only the first 1 or 2 was good. But it had so much power, you gotta bring it back. We have people coming back from the dead in movies.
Don't talk about John Wick like that.
People who die in movies,
what? Avatar, Way of the Water. You had the general come back and he died at the end of that. And Avatar was Way of Water. That was a good one. And they're making 3, 4, and 5, and they already filmed them pretty much.
Yeah.
I said the same thing. I said, didn't this?
Yeah.
So it made me feel very, very, very weird, that movie. And I did not. I definitely decided that I'm going to stay on land for a while.
I think, I said if the first one was such a rousing success, they're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And the second one was a massive success too.
They'll be back for a third then.
They're doing 3, 4, and 5. They already know it. They
that
already
makes sense. That
Well,
makes sense.
yeah.
I mean, the goal for most things, I will admit, is franchise or brand. Where you want this thing to spread and become this big IP that everyone is attached to. So I'm not going to argue against that as a company. Like if I had made a great T-shirt, put it on a jacket. If you make a great logo, put it on something. Put it on a school bag. Put it on a book. Turn it into a comic book character and turn it into a TV show. Make a video game out of it. I can't sit down with someone and say that's not exploit your stuff and try to do what you can with it. I can't argue against that.
On that note, then because this is the whole thing that going back to the whole thing with comics is that, and kind of what I was saying before, is that I think success is a very complicated term. Where success is that you wake up, you go to your job, you go to your 9-to-5 job, you earn a living, you pay your mortgage, you pay your rent, and that's success by definition. You successfully accomplished something and made your life better, or at least you made it function, for lack of a better word. But then you get into things like professional success. I think you can make an argument that if I do 100 interviews a year, that is a form of success. I got 100 people to come on my show relative for free who want to talk about it. And then I ask them questions for an hour to an hour and a half. And that's success. Did I get paid for it? No. But then I have a sponsorship. I got paid for that sponsorship. Great. Now we're entering another level of success. So if you produce a book and you lose $200 on your book, you still were successful in producing a book and delivering it to your customers. But then if all of a sudden you made $300, you had a surplus of $300, you're also successful. But then you could say, I raised $10,000 and I delivered my book. Are you successful? I mean, these are complicated questions.
I think you got that's compelling.
If you invested that money wisely, then you might be. But odds are you probably wasted it all.
I put it all on red, and then the roulette wheel came back as black.
Yeah, you invested it all in candy corn, and then realized nobody likes candy corn, and are like, oh man.
The candy corn stock just went down. It went right down. You were right at the top, and
Yes.
That's
my goal in life. That's my goal in life, is to drive the stock in candy corn down.
It's funny because I was about to sign you over my shares. Oh man. His favorite candy is candy corn. You know that, right?
No, he warned me about candy corn already.
Oh yeah, I said don't bring it. It's like if he brings it up, you're on my side.
Yeah, he's I went to CVS to see if I can get some. Then I could be sitting here chewing, like accidentally just be like, and you'd be like, oh my God, this is the greatest guest ever.
I mean, they have Christmas candy corn, they have Easter candy corn, they have Halloween candy corn. You got the pumpkins, you got Indian corn that's made with real.
So therefore, it's successful. See that? There you go, JS.
There's no
arguing.
Sequels.
That means it's success.
It's a franchise.
You can't argue with it.
Candy corn franchise.
They got everything, man. They got like gourmet candy corn. I mean, this is like a huge business.
I'd rather have all of the Kit Kats that come out of Japan.
That's good too. They got a lot.
Yeah, they do.
The best Kit Kats though are like the green ones that have marshmallow in them. Oh, those are good.
They got some pretty cool. That's one of the best reasons to like get into anime and manga, is to be able to go to these stores that have like the food from Japan that you can.
I used to have a sponsor that was a Japanese snack company, and they used to send me like all this stuff, and I'm like, what type of fucking Kit Kat is this? Like, yeah.
I know.
Like, I don't know what it is, but it tastes really good. Like, what type of shit is this?
I ordered a Gundam toy from Japan, and it had a piece of gum in it. in the box. And I said to myself, when I saw it, I was like, what is this? I said, if I bend it and it bends, I'm gonna eat it. But if it snaps, then I won't. And when I took it and it bent, I was like, all right, I'm gonna eat this Japanese piece of gum and like I just bought a gun and I'm gonna play with my Gundam robot and be the happiest kid ever. But yeah.
I used to buy caffeinated gum.
Yep.
So it was like blackjack black gum.
Well, they still got it right now too. They got like the Rev or something like that. It's called.
I can't chew gum. I bite my cheek way too much, and it's just a bad ending. It'll be a bad ending. And I don't. It hurts, like my mouth is all messed up from that. But I do like all these like Japanese candies, like the Pocky, the High Chews, the weird sodas are great.
Yeah.
Like they have the weirdest sodas that taste so freaking good.
Yeah.
So good. They have like Cherry Blossom Sakura Pepsi.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some interesting. It's good enough that I wish I wasn't diabetic so I could actually try them all. But
eat that.
They have some weird stuff too. That's even weirder. I mean, oh my god, just I can't even mention half the shit they have that I've tried and that I've gifted to people. People are like, "What the fuck, bro?"
Yeah,
that's some good stuff that you could do. But I love Japan. I'm an anime weeboo, and I got no problem stating it.
Wow.
So,
cool.
So let's talk about religion next.
Nah, definitely we're not gonna do that. Religion, abortion, and then the war overseas.
Yes.
Let's wrap it all up together. Let's
all
wrap
the wars.
Yes, let's wrap it all up. Let's put them all together.
No, we're not gonna talk about that. It's just
into one big
joke. My favorite joke. But I do want to talk about WrestleMania because obviously that's coming and that's what's on everybody's mind. And this is probably the most controversial thing. I don't know what's gonna happen night one between Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth, and then what's gonna happen night two. And so I'm curious if I don't know if JS is following this stuff, but I know you are, Drew.
Not following. I read articles about it.
Drew's grown up.
Yeah, with The Rock showing up and taking the thunder and the other guy stepped down for him. Like that storyline I'm aware of. Like the other guy's a hero for letting The Rock take the spotlight this time. So I get that part of it, but I haven't been watching it to know like the full way they wrote this into a story. I've actually been watching more about McMahon in trouble than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just we all knew. We just didn't know how bad it was. If you didn't
I only heard he had affairs. I didn't hear about any of this other stuff. It was just like, yeah, he's cheating with one of the two of the wrestlers. I was like, okay, he's the owner of a company and he's, unfortunately sleeping with some of the talent. Like that's what I thought he was up to.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was all this other stuff they're accusing him of.
I thought that it was weird. I thought that it was a little risque, is a good way to put it. What and I thought it was gonna be like, I wouldn't do that type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But clearly it has gone a different way. The fact that Johnny Ace is involved, the fact that Stephanie might be somewhat involved, it's gotten very deep.
Sort of.
And I don't want to make any assumptions on anything because you're innocent until proven guilty, but it's definitely weird. Is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Inappropriate.
I've always thought that was a little weird. Like there's a lot of people who are in trouble right now for doing a lot of abusive things with their power. And I always, I've never had that much power, never been famous as a young person, never had my most ugliest wishes and desires being able to play out. But I sometimes don't understand. You do wholesome wrestling for kids. Like you're making superstars and heroes. You're showing the good guy stand up to the bully, just like comics. I still don't understand why some of this stuff has such an underbelly. Like movies, it kind of made sense with Hollywood and everything. Like I could understand sometimes when you hear the stories, you're like, yeah, I could see that being like a sleazy backside to that engine. I get that. Even maybe the music business, I could see, yeah, it could be a seamy underside. I just don't understand how some things that you're portraying wholesomeness heroes, virtues, lessons. The good guy stands up to the bad guy and stands up to the bully. And when there's 5 bad guys in the ring, the good guy still goes in the ring and gets stomped because he's got a principle and he's never going to back down from the enemies, you know. And then cheaters never win, where the bad guy cheats. And then when they got to do it square and fair, he's got to lose. And I just don't understand how, like, that's your universe. You're doing that every day, sitting down, concentrating on how to project heroes, goodness, wholesome, family, and then you're turning around and this becomes the engine that's running behind it. I've never understood how those two can get married together. How? All day you're talking about heroes. All day. That's all you focus on. How do you do that right after the meeting? We're going to have Cena come out and do this thing, and he's going to pick the guy up and do this great thing. And right after that meeting, you're doing some stuff that's debaucherous. How does that all fit together?
Confused. I think we're all confused, and I could, let me put it this way. This wasn't on my bingo card perfectly, but I definitely thought Vince was a weird, deviant might be a good word to use. I didn't think it was this bad. I thought it was, I thought Vince was the type of guy that'd have a threesome, right? Or a foursome, right? Like that's my take on Vince. I didn't expect it to go this way in a different way. But again, we're not there, and it could be something that's
more sensible.
It could be even worse, or it could be clean as a whistle for all we know. It could go either way but it's definitely, that's probably the best way to put it. But enough about that. Obviously we've been speaking for an hour, 40 minutes, give or take. And I do want to give both of you a chance to promote yourself. We didn't speak about much of your art. We didn't speak much about anything that JS has done, which is how we're going to keep it. No. You can speak as much as you want about your stuff, but obviously, where can people find both of you and all that stuff and your projects that you got going on and what's coming out soon, if you want to share?
Sure. I'll go first since he stole the thunder the last time. Or just joking. Yeah, people do, honestly. There's a few people that know me. I'm nowhere near as famous as a lot of people that I know, but man, people got to check out Drew's stuff. Drew has a lot of great stuff that I have been trying to share. That's one of the reasons why I wanted him on the show. And he's got a great personality. I mean, he has the terrible opinions on things, but you got to take.
Whenever we disagree, he says that to me.
Yeah. But
only when we disagree. When we agree, he's like, I'm brilliant and insightful.
Yeah. But well, I will say I do have the only two things I'm going to mention is I have, which should be out next month, a collection of short stories that I started writing last year, just all kinds of craziness. Because honestly, with some of the different health and other issues that I was having, I didn't even know like how much longer I'd be writing. So I was just like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I always wanted to do this, I always wanted to do that. So I was just writing all kinds of stuff. And I know I sent Andrew the list of all the different things, and it's like, it's all over the place. And but I'm actually collecting it all in a collection called Other Worlds that I plan on releasing next month. It has a lot of formatting because I'm not going to do all the formatting the same. Since I like graphic design, I got to be weird and mix it up. And especially they all have kind of different styles, and some are futuristic, some are in the past, some are kind of like Victorian or steampunk, other ones are other things. And I want to do fonts and things like that in the thing. And honestly, with some of the different with the few of the different things I've already done and put out in print, people have like really like, oh, that's such a cool font for steampunk and stuff, like, and people have really gotten into it. So I definitely want to go all out with that. But like 95% of them are already written. A lot of them, if you just look me up on like Amazon, JS, Earls, you'll find a lot of my stuff. But it's all digital. There's not too much stuff in print on there. There's a couple things. I do have my Pistol Fist comic on Comixology, but yeah, you can check out if you want to get an idea of what's going to be in the print version. It's going to be that, and it's not going to be, even though it'll be fairly long and people will be able to like read through little sections at a time and everything. It's still, I'm going to try to keep it around like $15 or something like that for a hardcover.
No
Because
way.
I want to make it affordable and just be able to put it out
Accessible,
there.
good word, accessible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not, like I said. I mean, my whole reason for doing it is just a lot of it is stuff that I've just wanted to do. I don't know how many more stories, how many more short stories, whatever I'm gonna do. I am still kind of involved in different kinds of media and stuff. So yeah, I don't know how much more of it those kinds of things I'm gonna do. So I just want to make it cool for people to check out. We do have a big comic graphic novel and that we are doing called Fur and Brimstone. It's an apocalyptic, anthropomorphic apocalyptic comic. We're going to be promoting it a lot starting next month. You're going to be able to see lots of kind of behind the scenes art and other things that we're going to be putting up. And then we'll be doing a Kickstarter once it's like virtually finished. It's going to be 48 pages, and it'll be in around August, late August is when we're going to do that Kickstarter. But we're going to be posting a lot of videos and a lot of the art and a lot of different things about, because it's this whole world and everything we created. It's also going to have a role playing game with it for people that want to get into that stuff. But yeah, that's the biggest stuff I have going on right now. I will tell people, check out the Baron and Earls show. Because we've been having some other really great guests. The one we talked to today that is going to air tomorrow night. I don't know when this is going to air, but so it should be up on YouTube or wherever. If you do follow me on Facebook, Instagram, pretty much either JS Earls or Earls JS. But talk to Denise Dorman, the wife of great comic cover artist, and did some interiors too. But she's fantastic. She's like an award-winning writer, TV producer, and award-winning publicist and everything even too. And she's doing a lot of that. She has, I cannot tell you, like the people that watch the episode are going to be like, oh my gosh, because there's like there's so many websites and apps and different things that she tells people that they can use to like help them with their promotion or different things in different spaces. And that's why I put in the description of the episode, I'm like take notes. Because like the whole time, Mike and I are just kind of like taking notes on, okay, where's this place, and we do this thing. And she named all kinds of stuff. She did name some AI stuff. Most of it was not, but yeah, just all kinds of different stuff that's really affordable for people to be able to promote. I definitely, even though I mean we talked to fantastic people, period. Just like Andrew, I mean obviously it doesn't get much better than this, but. but no, but that one is really awesome. If you're a creator, I definitely, I'm telling you, I got to edit it. But it is, man, she's got probably at least like probably 30 or 40 different places and things that you can use, and really get advice on stuff. And she's very up on what is working now and how different things are trending. And we do talk about Kickstarter and stuff like that a little bit too. And I just really, honestly, for the creators and stuff, it's great stuff to check out.
Awesome. Drew Spence, I would say Google friendly. If you put in Drew Spence in the engine, I don't think it's going to be the soccer player anymore. Comic artist, my series I did, it's based on CGI where I use 3D models and draw on top of it. That is the style that my comics have across the board. The last book I did was God of Fury. Me and JS will be coming out later with another Kickstarter. I'm not going to give you the details. Me and JS got to work out which series we're going to go with next.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff out. I'm on Amazon Kindle. I did a Spider-Man fan fiction comic book. It's on Webtoons. It's called The Dynamic Spider-Man Plus. That's the series that I did. It's 8 full issues on there, free to read. It's my futuristic cyberpunk take on the Spider-Man character, which retells the entire story with some unique twists in it for a lot of the characters. I also just finished a Jazz Hop album, And I have instrumentals that are out. If you like instrumental beats to work and be productive too, that's on my YouTube channel, Dynamical Music. I also use a lot of AI to make music videos for a lot of my songs. There's rap music on there with videos, instrumental music. The Jazz Hop is me producing the entire thing, and it features an instrumentalist, saxophonist who is Donna S. That's been well received. We're doing well with that. What else? If you're into the process that I use to make my comic books, when you see the art and stuff, I have tons of classes and presentations in the Daz store, because a lot of the models are Daz sourced. And if not even Daz sourced, I'm using the Daz environment. And I also have done a bunch of presentations on storytelling, building a story, building characters, resolving plot holes. There's a lot of stuff inside those workshops. So if you just want to hear me basically talk like this and explain some of the comic concepts, things, I know I use a lot of acronyms to explain some of the concepts, but that's what's also on there. A lot of my classes. So you can also go check those out. A lot of them are webinars or just straight me explaining different concepts and storytelling, different methods, and, you know, my approach to storytelling and a bunch of my ideas about it. But yeah, the Dynamic Universe is the moniker. That's the umbrella that everything I basically do falls under. The Dynamic Universe.
And then obviously I'm going to keep saying, hey, you got to support people that you want their content to get made and you want it to continue. Support can mean a lot of things. It can mean money. It can mean follows on social media. It could be just telling somebody. It could be interacting with somebody. It could just be saying hi. You know, it can mean a lot of things. And it is a spectrum from both obviously opening up your wallet to actually saying, hey, I really like your work. It goes a long way, both those things, in many different ways, because you don't know when somebody's having a bad day. And there's certain people who know exactly what happened yesterday to me and the day before. And a few people are like, yo, man, you okay? Goes a long way. Goes a long way. Keeps people definitely grounded. But enough about that. You know, just obviously support people, buy their things legally. That's another thing. That's a really big thing. And when they're on Kickstarter, go back to their Kickstarter. $1 is not too little, is all I'm going to say on that front. But that's the PSA right there. But what I got going on, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X. I am Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on YouTube. I am on TikTok under Pop Anime Comics. I run an eBay store, Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And in my lovely eBay store, and we have a lovely banner that a cute little elf that may or may not be in a game soon. So be on the lookout for that, and I will have more details. But you go to that URL, and you can go buy comics like this or this. Actually, you can't buy this one because this one's on Whatnot. But I do buy exclusive print runs of books that in hollow foil that I do buy all 15 of them out. And so that is something that is a big deal. And if you're looking for books like this, as I stated, which is Purissa hollow foil, I do have all 15 of those. I do have all 15 of these. And I do have all 15 of the Starfires on Mount Olympus. So if you go to Mount Olympus and a hollow foil is sold out, moi did it. And they know it. If you go to Merc and there's a cover sold out, moi did it. It's about 20% of the time. So I do tend to buy out print runs, and I try to keep the prices as reasonable as I can. And I buy a lot of other books and a lot of cool stuff. And I am on Whatnot, as I stated, it is Pop Anime Comics. And so I do sell really good books. We are going to have a very fun show on Friday. We are going Luigi, and we are going Takenuki style Luigi. And there are some topless covers, and they are flotation devices. Is the nicest way I could put it. And so it's going to be a fun show, and it is video game night. So I do have Luigi. I got Ashley Graham from Resident Evil Mount Olympus style. I got Samus. I think I got some Zelda stuff in there. And I don't know what else I have. I have some Cammy. And I got some other stuff. And maybe I'll do a Starbucks Larissa, because that Starbucks cover is great. And I love my Starbucks, both as an investment and their coffee. I want to make that crystal clear. And then also I have things like this, but I'm having a hard time seeing this card. I don't know. Did anybody see it? I didn't see it. I didn't see anything. So that's everything that I got. And then obviously, you know, I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everybody doing what they got to do. And go buy my shit, everybody, because I like money and I would like to continue to like money and make money. So that's everything that I got. And that's pretty much it. So thank you, everybody, for watching. And I don't know who wants to have the final word.
I'd like to thank you. JS can have the final word. Firstly, you're way nicer than JS said you would be. So he had prepped me for a totally different personality. The only thing that was slightly accurate was the candy corn thing. That was about it. But yeah, very cool. Thank you for having us on. At least this was awesome. And thank you, JS, for facilitating this. I've met so far about 5 extremely cool people through JS so far. So yeah, this has been awesome. This was awesome. Thank you very much again for having us on.
Yeah, definitely. And my restraining order is coming soon to Andrew. No, no, I always, I like doing any of the shows, honestly. I mean, and it's just fun to be able to be yourself and just be able to talk about things that matter to people and discuss things and hear different people's opinions. So, I mean, I like it. Thank you again.
I don't think I could have said that any better myself, everybody. And that is a wrap.